Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's John with Midrange TCG, and today I just wanted to talk to you guys about a card, Assassin's Trophy. Now, this card, this has been published on the MTG Finance page. You can check it out on Reddit, or you can check it out on Channel Fireball. LSV did an article about it, but just talking about Assassin's Trophy in standard and its implications as a card. Um, Honestly, I think this card is insane. Assassin's Trophy is actually an insane card, and I'm not saying it's insane just because you look at its ability, but I think it has a lot of implications in black green or black green X decks. So if we look at it real quick, Assassin's Trophy is a black green that's an instant speed card that says destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. Now, right now, this card is trending on TCG Player for roughly $40. There's only one person online that actually has it. But if we take a look at it right here, and we go to Assassin's Trophy, sorry, I spelled that wrong. But this card is currently going, I'm sorry, there's only one copy up right now, or one person selling. Flipside Gaming for $50 each. Now, I think this card is insane. And why do I think it's insane? It's insane not because of the fact that it just destroys a permanent, but it's insane that it's an instant speed for 2 mana that destroys a permanent. And it's so easy to splash green black X because we're going to be getting the Shocklands. So we'll get Golgari Shocklands because Vraska is also in the set. We're also going to be getting we have the checklands, so cards like Woodland Cemetery, and then we'll also have filter cards such as Field of Ruin, which will allow us to sort of search for the missing basic land that we need. We also have cards like Evolving Wild, which can sort of tutor this card out on turn 3 or turn 2, and just being able to play a Land of War turn 1, playing a black mana turn 2, and just turn 3, or playing a green on turn 1, playing a Land of War turn 2, playing a swamp, and then just being able to have this card live with a green mana still active is very good. And if we look at post rotation, what are the strongest cards right now? Right, let's go on MTG Goldfish. Right, let's go on MTG Goldfish and let's take a look at what are the current decks. We have Red Black Aggro and Flame of Guild. Okay, so these decks pretty much get hit. They get hit pretty hard. Like they lose Chandra, they lose Pia, they lose Hazoret, they lose Glorbringers, they lose Karizev. Bowen Courier's going out. Chandra, Abrades. All these cards are going out. So you look at the cards that are mostly rotation proof, and what do you see? You see Nexus, Blue Control, Esper Control. Obviously, Esper loses turn to a Gearhulk, but they do have a replacement in the form of what's that sideboard creature? What's the dragon? The Mutable, Chromium the Mutable. And Blue Green Stompy, still pretty good. Sure, they lose Verdur's Gearhulk, but they also have other cards that just sort of pump. Right, Ronus sort of gets rotated. That's totally fine. It's still a very decent deck considering it's just mono green. But if we look at the implication as to what Assassin's Trophy can provide, it's just good because okay, so sure, black green Constrictor rotates, but we also have dinosaurs, right? You got to keep in mind we have really cool dinosaurs such as Thrashing Bronzodon. We have Carnage Tyrants that can be played main deck. Okay, that's something that a lot of people forget about. You're able to play Vraska's Contempt, so you have access to these mid-level removals, but you also have access to early-level removals. And just your opponent playing 5, tapping out. You have 2 mana up. Your opponent taps 5 out to play a Teferi. Okay, they play a Teferi and they go uptick. Okay, sure. In response, I will destroy your Teferi. You get a land. So at the end of the turn, they untap 3 lands. And sure, they can hold up a counterspell, but now Teferi's gone. Right? The fact that you can always trade up with this card is like insane. It's just so insane. Like playing against a Karn, playing against an Ajani, playing against like any of these like top tier decks. Playing it against a Nicol Bolas is insane, right? And it's so easy to get out green black mana on turn 2. It really is because you just play a bunch of filter cards, right? You have Shocklands, you have Checklands, you have Field of Ruins, you have Evolving Wilds. You also have other cards such as Land of War Elf that help you tutor for that additional green if you already played a green this turn, And it's just so good of a card. And I think what's gonna happen is this card is gonna be splashed essentially in every single Golgari deck. Okay, and I think right now Vraska Relic Seeker, not a bad card, right? Vraska Relic Seeker says +2, make a 2/2 pirate with menace, right? -3? Destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, make a treasure. And then what her -8 ability, or no, -10 ability says put your opponent's life to 1. She would be really good in late game, and just having cards that just help you get to that late game is so essential. Right? This card also hits Carnage. Sorry, not Carnage. This card hits what is that? What is that dragon? What is that dinosaur called? This card hits Galta. Right? This card hits Gigantosaurus. So like in the mirror match, it's also a very essential card. It's essentially it essentially feels like the new Fatal Push, Assassin's Trophy, but instead of being in the rare slot, it's now in the uncommon slot. But it does say destroy target permanent. Excuse me. So when your opponent does play double colors, and they play an example right now, we have Disallow in the meta. Once that rotates out, we're gonna have the new counterspell, the new 3-mana counterspell that also has Surveil on it. So if you think about it this way, your opponent's playing like an example. They're playing like an Azorius mix, and on turn 3 they want like double white, or on turn 4 they want double white, or on turn 5 they want double white, and you just go, okay, well I'm just gonna blow up one of your lands, and you get to decide whether you want to be able to hold up a counterspell or be able to hold up, like a Settle Lurkage or a Fumigate or a I don't know Lyra Dawnbringer or any of these other cards or any cards that are 2 of a specific mana. So stuff like that is actually very important. Just being able to sort of mess your opponent's plan up, because you essentially go, okay, well I'm gonna remove the flexibility that you have with your dual lands, and I'm gonna punish you for playing a 2-color deck, right? Obviously this works against you as well because your opponent can also play it, but Assassin's Trophy just seems like a pretty good card, and I just wanted to say that I honestly don't think that this is very valid for its price tag right now. We're looking at $50 per copy right now. That's absolutely insane. It's already sold out on TCG Player. It's sold out on what is it? It's sold out on SCG. So I believe it's also sold out on Channel Fireball, or they're just not releasing it yet. But yeah, like check this link out by LSV. I honestly think this card's insane. Here he compares it to sort of like the legacy decks, and if you want to look at the implications in Modern, I think it's a very good card for Modern, right? I forget which. I believe it's Jeskai Control. Just gets better. Like the deck just gets better. But mostly for Standard, if we're looking at Standard, another key removal piece for green-black, which sort of suffers in its own colors because it's so susceptible to removal, now actually has the ability to sort of make a comeback. Right? We might get to see Sultai, or we'll get to see Muldrotha being played, because Muldrotha is just a really cool card. And then we also have the ability to play this in green-red-black, and we can sort of cycle it with Mirari Conjecture, so you can abuse spells, right? So there's a lot of implications. I mean, obviously those are just like a slight bruise, but this card just gets rid of Teferi, it gets rid of Karns, it gets rid of Planeswalkers in general. It hits anything that doesn't have hexproof, which is like 70% of the format, 80% of the format. And if it does have hexproof, usually Vraska's Contempt will take care of it. Excuse me, if it doesn't have hexproof, Vraska's Contempt will take care of it, if not Assassin's Trophy. And then also on top of that, it just gets rid of the indestructible ability. So I don't know, maybe you're playing against a deck and your opponent just goes, okay, I'll make my board indestructible. Then it's like, okay, Vraska's Contempt. But at the same time, Assassin's Trophy is just a really good 2-mana answer, and it always trades up, which I think is very important, especially for a deck like Green-Black, which plays mostly removal and plays a lot of mana ramp. So just having something early game sort of help you instead of, taking 3 damage here, taking 2 damage there, because you're rushing against an aggressive deck. It's really good. Also, playing this card against Search for Skonto, your opponent taps on turn 2, you just go, okay, well, I'm just going to blow up your Search for Skonto. Now your opponent's down in the dirt, and they can't come back because they just tapped out. So this card has a lot of implications. I think it's going to be really strong, especially strong against control. It's also an answer to Goblin Chainwhirler. It's pretty good. Chainwhirler is going to be really good after the mana rotates because we don't have a lot of creatures that are, 4 toughness for 3 drops, right? If you really think about it, like, what do we have? Not a whole lot. And the fact that Goblin Chainwhirler just sort of like stares at you because he comes in and he just deals 1 to the board. I think that's insane. So, with regards to Assassin's Trophy, I think everyone should, I think it's worth playtesting, and I think it's a very good card. I don't think it'll replace Vraska's Contempt, just because Vraska's also gains you the life, which is hyper important for control decks, which essentially have to survive to hit the mid game, to hit that late game. So, once again, my name is John. I'm with Midrange TCG. Assassin's Trophy. Thanks for watching. Bye.